Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Foley, and I'm here with my colleague Bob Plankers. We're both in the vSphere Tech Marketing team. And today we're going to do a quick, short discussion on compliance, validation,
and certification,
FIPS, certification, all those sorts of words. And we're going to try and clarify that in about, hopefully, less than 5 minutes. So it's going to be pretty condensed. This is quick Bytes, and let's go. So, Bob, I'm hearing an awful lot about one of my. Let me back up. One of my pet peeves when I was in doing your job was the people saying things need to be FIPS compliant, when in fact the only thing that is FIPS compliant is a full solution, right? So I go to a vendor and I buy servers and disks and NICs and all those things, and all of that is tested for FIPS compliance, including the software. And that configuration stays like that forever. Any change to that configuration and I'm out of compliance, right?
Compliance and certification are done on implementations, not on products themselves. I like analogies. You may have noticed over the years, and I often compare this. People seem to understand it better when I compare it to building a house. If I go to the hardware store and I buy an electrical outlet, you look on the back and it's UL validated. It went through their certification process. They hooked it up somewhere. They did all kinds of unholy things to it and made sure that it's not going to catch my house on fire, the device itself. But that doesn't mean... so if I buy a bunch of stuff and I ask the building inspector to come over and it's all sitting in my garage in a pile, the building inspectors, and I ask the building inspector to sign off on my building permit that all is good, I'm using UL validated stuff, right? They're going to laugh at me and then probably, revoke my building permit. Having that certification, having that, and I'm even mixing it up here a little bit, having that validation on there doesn't mean that I can't wire it up to burn my house down. I can still do that.
Exactly.
And it's the same with an implementation. Even though our products are FIPS validated, we go through all of the test suites and go through the really arduous process to prove to NIST and various government agencies. Common criteria is a multi-country treaty. Even we go through the process to validate our stuff with that and with those processes to make sure it's a great third-party test to make sure that our stuff is doing what we actually say it's doing and what we actually think it should be doing. Somebody else, encryption professionals, actually take a look at our encryption and say, you guys are doing it all right. And
and you can look that up on the NIST website, and you will see the VM kernel modules that are used to do VM and vSAN encryption. You'll see the OpenSSL modules that we use for generating certificates and so forth. All of these things have gone through FIPS validation, which means they could be used in a solution which could become FIPS compliant.
In contrast, though, the common criteria stuff is a certification, and certifications, as we said, are certified against an implementation, and that's actually the secret about common criteria. It's a very specific Dell server. The last one that we did was a very specific Dell server with a very specific set of CPUs and a very specific set of NICs and all that stuff.
Right.
It was an implementation that was certified because in order to pass some of their tests, they need to implement the product. And so it becomes a certification because it's implemented. And so we get, I talk to people from time to time that say we are being very strict about common criteria certification. And I asked them, does that mean you don't patch? Because it was a very specific build of ESXi, for example, that passed through that certification. And they look at me.
You can't even put more memory in the system.
No, unless you have that Dell server with those CPUs, which are now, whatever, time has moved on.
You can't swap out disks.
You can't swap out disks. You can't enable more NICs. None of that stuff. It's got to be that configuration. Right. And so if you're being strict about it, you got to run that configuration. Or we can have a more reasonable conversation about what this certification means. That we learn, maybe we learned some stuff. Maybe we proved that we were doing it right. And all of that knowledge is part of the code base now. And so
there's 2 points that I kind of want to hit on around common criteria. One is that we do have a letter that says we are going to do common criteria for 7.0.
Yep, we have a commitment to do that. We are absolutely committed to finishing that process for 7. We did it for 6.7. Same deal. The process is long.
Understanding that process is incredibly long.
Yep.
The other point I want to bring up is that the common criteria testing that was done on older versions of vSphere, like 5.5 and 6.5,
all carries forward.
Well, it does, but the common criteria tests are far more
rigorous,
complex, and rigorous today than they were yesterday. So you can't compare. Well, I'm running a 5.5 system with common criteria. It's more secure than a 7.0 system that hasn't gotten common criteria yet. That is complete and utter, as Colonel Potter on MASH would say, horsepucky.
Horsepucky, indeed. Well, it's, in the 80s, security on the internet was a lot easier, we didn't have the problems that we do now, And so, attackers and defenders, it's an arms race, and certifications and validations are part of the answer to that, making sure that the products are doing what they're doing and that they can be trusted to do what we say they do. So.
Right. So I think the big takeaway, as we wrap up here, is that VMware has dramatically changed the security landscape with regard to vSphere just in the past 8 years.
Yeah, agreed.
And we've made more settings in vSphere secure by default. I started that, and you've run with it. We have commitments to do common criteria as part of the development process.
We've got a very secure development practices, a lot of good stuff going on there.
Yeah, really great security development lifecycle, and we are involved in all of that day to day. And really, the vulnerabilities that you see, where you see ransomware and all these other sorts of things, the vast majority of them are from how the product is used.
It's an implementation
versus
detail.
Is the product secure by default?
Yeah, we could talk at length about how ransomware attacks happen, how they get in, but by and large, it's an implementation detail. A door was left open, or a system left unpatched as well. And not just sure vSphere. Is VMware perfect about security? No, but nobody is, because it's software, and we move on. Subscribe to the VMSA mailing list, the security advisory mailing list. If you're watching this, please subscribe to that so that you get notified if we do discover a problem. But being able to patch and fix that stuff is really important, and and the implementation details especially.
The best thing you can do is patch as soon as absolutely possible, and the reason being is that the bad actors out there are moving at a lightning speed. And if your patching methodology is glacial, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. Well, hey, this has been a great conversation. I hope folks get some good information out of it. And we'll be back with some more discussions on different security aspects of vSphere here on Quick Bytes. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.